There's a kind of phantom haunting our global economy. It's a massive, really sophisticated crime that's hiding in plain sight, buried deep within the data of international trade. And today, today we're going to go find it. Okay, so it all kicks off with this pretty wild fact. Get this. Every single year, millions of tons of aluminum get shipped from one country, and then, poof, they just vanish. I mean, they're exported, but they never officially arrive anywhere.
And look, this isn't some magic trick or a simple clerical error. No, this isn't a statistical ghost. This is deliberate. Someone is making it happen.
What we're actually looking at here is a whole new blueprint for financial crime, a playbook for billion-dollar fraud. And the craziest part? It uses the insane complexity of our global trade system as its perfect disguise.
All right, so let's dive in. Let's start our investigation right at the scene of the crime, the data itself. So when you look at the global trade data, you see something that just shouldn't be possible. The world as a whole consistently reports exporting way more aluminum than it imports. And that huge gap you see, that's our missing metal. Researchers have this great name for it, a mirror fracture. It's like looking in a broken mirror, right? The reflection just doesn't match up with reality. And for us, this is the first major clue that something is seriously wrong.
So the big question is, why? Why is this happening? Well, to get to the motive, we have to look at how the global push for a greener economy has, and this is pretty ironic, accidentally created a massive opportunity for criminals.
The motive really boils down to this powerful financial incentive called the tax wedge. Okay, so here's how it works. On the one hand, tax laws make it super cheap to import scrap metal, but really expensive to bring in finished goods. At the same time, it's expensive to export scrap, but basically free to export finished goods. So what does that do? It creates this bizarre two-way incentive for fraud. You pretend your metal is scrap when you're importing it to save money, and then you pretend it's finished goods when you're exporting it, again, to save money.
Now, the first theory everyone had was pretty logical. It was something called sustainability arbitrage, which, let's be honest, is just a fancy term for greenwashing. The idea was simple. Criminals were just slapping a green recycled scrap label on high-carbon metal to dodge carbon taxes. I mean, it makes perfect sense, right? Except it turned out to be totally, completely wrong. So to really crack this case, researchers knew they couldn't just use spreadsheets. No way. They needed a high-tech partner. So they unleashed this incredibly powerful, multi-layered machine learning framework to go hunt for clues buried in millions of trade records. And you can think of this AI as a team of digital detectives. Okay, so first up, you've got the forensic accountant. It checks if the numbers in the trade records look fishy, if they've been manipulated. Then you have the outlier specialist. Its whole job is to spot the suspicious trades that just don't fit the normal pattern. The third member is the network analyst, mapping out all the secret routes these shipments are taking. And finally, you have the deep dive expert, the one who finds these incredibly complex, hidden patterns that, honestly, no human could ever hope to see.
And right here, this is where the investigation took a shocking, completely unexpected turn. What the AI found didn't just challenge that greenwashing theory, it blew it clean out of the water.
So what did this digital detective actually find?
It found this. A price markup of over 1,900% on the suspicious shipments. Yeah, this was never about saving a few bucks on carbon taxes. This was something else, something much, much bigger.
Okay, to put that into perspective for you, normal aluminum trades for about, $8 a kilogram? But these high-risk trades the AI flagged, they were being priced at over $167 a kilogram. That price is so absurdly high, it basically breaks the laws of economic physics. And that is a classic signature of trade-based money laundering. It's a textbook way to move illegal money across borders and, fund all kinds of other criminal enterprises.
So here's the real trick, the crucial point. The real crime has a name: hardware masking. What the criminals were doing was taking cheap, low-value scrap metal and just claiming it was a massive shipment of high-value stuff, like nuts and bolts, all to justify those insane prices and ultimately to launder money.
And the disguises they used? I mean, it's almost comical when you think about it. Over a fifth of these bogus trades were disguised as simple nails, screws, and bolts. They were literally using the most boring, everyday items you can imagine to mask a multi-billion-dollar financial crime.
Okay, but that only explains how they did it. What about the where? I mean, how did they make millions of tons of metal just disappear?
Well, the destination of these shipments, that's the final piece of the puzzle. The vast majority of these high-risk, super high-value shipments weren't sent to China or the US or Germany or anywhere, really. They were sent to unspecified, a statistical void, a black hole in the data.
This is a tactic researchers have now named void shoring. And you have to admit, it's an incredibly clever way to cover your tracks. See, instead of hiding the metal in some physical warehouse, you hide it in a data black hole. By doing that, you make it practically impossible for authorities to ever connect the export to an import. You sever the forensic trail. You can't prove the crime.
So, okay, the crime is exposed. Now what? How do we stop it? Well, the beauty is the AI didn't just find the problem, it also pointed directly to the solution. And here is maybe the most important takeaway from this whole investigation. The single biggest red flag for this fraud isn't the volume of the shipment or its weight, it's the price. For years, customs officials have been focused on what's physically inside the container. But it turns out the real crime, the whole scheme, is hiding in plain sight, right there on the invoice. And this leads us to some really clear, actionable solutions. First things first, customs agencies need to start using dynamic AI to monitor prices, not just scan containers. Second, we have to close that unspecified loophole. Just mandate valid destination codes for every shipment. And finally, we've got to take this same digital detective work and apply it to other critical materials, like copper and lithium, before these same criminals do the same thing all over again.
All of this leaves us with one pretty critical question, doesn't it? This AI pulled on one tiny thread in the aluminum market and unraveled a massive global conspiracy. So you have to wonder, what other phantom crimes, what other billion-dollar schemes are still out there, hiding in plain sight in the data of our global economy, just waiting for the right algorithm to come along and find them?